All right, so we're going live, Isaiah chapter 19, and we're going to see how this works because, yeah, it stopped working a couple of times already. So I don't know what's going to happen here or what or whatever, but I'm going to try it with that. All right, let me see here. Testing one, two, three. Can you hear me? Testing one, two, three. Can you all hear me? Okay. Um, we're just gonna. All we could do is try. I'm not going to repeat that last message. I'm going to start with chapter 19. So let's just have a word of prayer, and then we'll get started from there. Heavenly Father, we just give you praise again and honor and glory, and ask that your word will go forth according to your divine will. In the name of the Messiah, how shall we pray? Amen. All right. So as we mentioned, the Most High, who is the Alpha and Omega, beginning and the end, who knows all things, who is lives in the beginning, lives in the present, and lives in the future, all at the same time, understood and has ordained that there's certain Hamitic people that have close relations with his Semitic people, the Israelite people. And what we're seeing here in Isaiah, and what we studied in terms of last time, which unfortunately did not get recorded, but what we're seeing is the history. Now, brothers and sisters, the thing about history, in fact, let's take a look at just an example of that. And before we go to Isaiah, let's look at Ezekiel chapter. Let's go Ezekiel chapter 20. Ezekiel chapter 20. Just as an example of what history means in terms of the Most High and us. Ezekiel chapter 20. I'm going to begin at verse 1. Um, let's see. I'm going to go from verse 1 down to verse 8. Ezekiel chapter 20 from verse 1 down to verse 8. And it came to pass in the 7th year, in the 5th month, the 10th day of the month, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire of Yahweh and sat before me. Then came the word of Yahweh unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the elders of Israel, and say unto them, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, Are ye come to inquire of me? As I live, saith the Most High Yahweh, I will not be inquired of by you. Wilt thou judge them, son of man? Wilt thou judge them? Cause them to know the abominations of their fathers. And say unto them, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, in the day when I chose Israel, and lifted up mine hand unto the seed of the house of Jacob, and made myself known unto them in the land of Egypt, when I lifted up my hand unto them, saying, I am Yahweh your Most High, in the day that I lifted up my hand unto them, to bring them forth of the land of Egypt, into a land that I had espied for them, the glory of all lands. Then said I unto them, Cast ye away every man the abomination of his eyes, and defile not yourselves with the idols of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your most high. But they rebelled against me and would not hearken unto me. They did not every man cast away the abominations of their eyes, neither did they forsake the idols of Egypt. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. Now, brothers and sisters, what is he saying here? Is he trying to punish those elders that came before Ezekiel because of the sins of their fathers? No. Because the Most High said through this same prophet that the sins of the father shall not be passed to the son. But, brothers and sisters, what we need to understand is that we are what we are today in part because of our history. That's what we need to understand. So what he's saying to these elders is, y'all are just as rebellious as your fathers. The history of your fathers is in you. Okay? Now, brothers and sisters, just because the children are maybe in different circumstances, what their fathers were and what their fathers did is part of who they are. That's for all of us, brothers and sisters. That's for all of us. Today, in the United States of America, for example, the so-called African American is suffering from history of what happened to him when he first came to the shores of this country enslaved. Now, the slave owners, or the children of the slave owners, the children of the oppressors, don't want to deal with that fact. But it is what it is. We are all products of our history. All of us are. For good and for bad. That is why when the Bible talks about true repentance, and again, we're seeing it here, we're seeing it in Daniel chapter 9. The repentant prayer is not only repentance of my sins, but is repentance of the sins of my fathers. Because the sins of my fathers and the character of my fathers help make up who I am. Are y'all understanding me? Testing one. But are you hearing me? But in the judgment, you come back face to face with your history. What is judgment if it's not a recording and a review of all the things you have done? So that when you stand in judgment, you are facing your history. That's what you're facing. And what makes your history, part of what makes you who you are, is the history of your ancestors. So when the Bible talks about Israelite people being stiff-necked and wild, okay, part of what we are. The way they used to rejoice, like when the Pharaoh's army was overthrown and they were singing and rejoicing, that's part of what we are. That's what we are. Okay? So every person's history comes back to them. It comes and it makes them who they are. And brothers and sisters, listen, I'm going to say something that's may be controversial, but you know that's not unusual for me. Listen, sometimes in the United States of America, black men are just angry. And somebody might say, why is he angry? Brothers and sisters, the spirit of 400 years of oppression does not just go away. The spirits of oppression and the results of oppression, no matter what our present condition is, does not just go away. The spirit of oppression from the Caucasian people that rule this country and this world at this point does not just go away. With that comes a spirit of entitlement. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I gave an example. Let's say every morning when you got up, a person left you breakfast cooked for you. Every morning when you got up, breakfast was made. So that when you got up and you went to your kitchen, wherever it is, there was your breakfast already made there. Whatever it is you eat for breakfast is there. And you liked it and you got used to it. So all of a sudden, one day, breakfast wasn't there anymore. And you had been getting it, let's say, for years. You're going to be disappointed. Why? Because you were used to getting it. And all of a sudden, it's just not there. And brothers and sisters, that's what we are. We are creatures of habit. We get used to things. Okay? And when you are a society based on oppression and you're used to having certain advantages given to you, you're just used to it. It creates I'm not saying it just creates a sense of entitlement. That's what happens. That's the truth about it. And that sense of entitlement can be very detrimental to the people that's receiving it. So let me give you an example. The number one cause of death of Caucasian males over 45 years old is suicide. That's the truth. I'm not making that up. Look it up. The number one cause of death of Caucasian males in the United States of America over 45 years old is suicide. Why is that? Because they were used to a sense of when a male Caucasian comes out of a family, he's going to go to college, he's going to get a job, he's going to support his family. That was a birthright given to them as being American citizens in this country. And it's expected not only that they would do that, but that they would be in a better position than their fathers. That they would carry on a tradition and be in a better position. Well, brothers and sisters, the current capitalist system is creating a situation such that even among the Caucasians, the men today do not have it as good as their fathers had. They are not able to do what their fathers did. Whereas their mommies can be home, right? Like Mrs. Cleaver, and take care of Junior. Today, the women got to work. And the men are feeling a sense of failure. And they can't handle it. Which is why they're committing suicide. Another reason also they're getting into opioids. There was an expectation. You go to college, get a degree, you're going to get a job. You go to college, get a master's degree, you're going to manage somewhere. Now what you left with is debt. That's just among the Caucasians. It's even worse for the so-called African Americans. It's even worse. But see, the difference is we used to that struggle. We never left that struggle. I don't care how many entertainers that sing, dance, bounce a ball, pass a ball, punch with gloves or whatever, that are making multi-millions of dollars that you see. There's masses. For every one of those, there's tens and hundreds of thousands that are suffering. And been suffering. Generational suffering. So we're used to that. But the Caucasian man is not used to that. And it's hard for him to handle because that sense of entitlement is there. And that's why they're committing suicide. See? Because your history always comes back to meet you. Always. Now we praise the Most High Yah because he is a God that can alter history. As a matter of fact, because he's the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, he creates history. So brothers and sisters, and not only that, we also know that when he speaks a word, it's going to come to pass. It's not going to fall to the ground and be void. When he makes a promise, his promise is forever. We may forget. He doesn't forget. The reason as Hebrews, the black man is being punished in the United States and other countries is because of the sins of our fathers, our history. Because he made a covenant with us on Mount Sinai. He didn't make the covenant with everybody. He made it with us, with our fathers. And he ain't forgot that covenant. We may think, we may have forgotten. He ain't forgot. And that's why, brothers and sisters, when we study the scriptures every week, we see Deuteronomy chapter 30, and it says in verse 1, it shall come to pass when all these things come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, with Yahweh thy Most High have scattered thee. Turn unto Yahweh thy Most High, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart, with all thy soul, that then Yahweh will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee. This is prophesied. This is history. And it's present. And it's future. Okay? That brings us to Isaiah chapter 19. Let's see if this daggone thing is still recording. Isaiah chapter 19. Isaiah chapter 19, because as we know, We studied this a couple of times. We studied it last night and this morning. The sons of Mizraim, right, and the children of Cush. So Mizraim and Cush come from Ham. They have history. They have history. They got a long history, multiple thousands and thousands of years of history. And we have a history with them. We have a history of helping them with Joseph. We have a history of being beaten up by them and enslaved by them with Moses in them. We got a history of being attacked by them from Nimrod. And we got a history of calling people away from them, like Jeremiah. Got a long history with them. We got a history of marrying them and having children with them, like Solomon and Moses, to the Cushites. And as a matter of fact, the word does say, "Are ye not like unto the Ethiopians unto me?" That's what he said. I didn't make that up. The scriptures say that. He said that to the children of Israel. "Are ye not like unto the Ethiopians unto me?" Why? Because we are. We have a long history with them. So, as we talked about, and I can't find that scripture right now, but as we talked about, brothers and sisters, as we talked about, every tribe from Yafet, and when I mean tribe, I'm talking about the three sons of Ham, not the 12 tribes of Israel, but of the three sons of Ham, Yafet, Ham, and Sem, there's going to be people that are redeemed. Every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. Now, he has chosen Israel. The Israelite people, which come from Jacob, are his chosen ones. And they're going to rule on this earth under David and Messiah. No question. But you're going to have nations of people that's not of that lineage that's going to be on the earth as well. Messiah comes from that lineage. That's why I said he came to save his people from their sins. But in saving his people, he's going to also bring salvation to the world. And that's why he said he made us a nation of priests and ministers. So now, in Isaiah 19, he's talking about a little history of Egypt. He's going to talk about Egyptians, which really the word, again, let me test you. What is the real word? It's not Egypt. Egypt is actually a term that came from Europeans. That's not the real name of that land. What is the real Mizraim? That's correct. It's the Mizraim is the real name. That's the name of that land. And Ethiopian is not the name of that land. It's really Cush. Right? That's Cush's land. And they both come from Ham. Right? So the whole continent of what is now called Africa is really Cush, Put, and Mizraim. They all come from there. All right? That's where they come from. Now we know they also worship all kind of crazy gods in that land. That's again where the awakening comes in. That's where the tribe of Judah comes in. That's where the 144,000 comes in. That's where the message that the Most High Spirit puts on their tongue comes in, to awaken the earth to the truth. Messiah said, when this gospel of the kingdom is going to all the world for a witness unto all nations, then shall the end come. And we're not talking about the white Jesus Christian gospel. That's a false gospel. The true gospel comes from the true Israelite people about the true Hebrew Messiah and the nation of Israel, who is the chosen people, the true chosen people, not them Europeans that are sitting in the land now, them Edomites. Not them. This gospel. And this is going to come. See, because if it was the white Jesus gospel, that's been around the world. All the nations know about white Jesus, right? We're not saying nothing new. All the nations know about white Jesus. They all know about white Jesus. Okay, so that's not the one. If that was the one, it'd be over already. Because that's been around the world multiple times. So it's not the one. It's the one that talks about overcoming all sin. It's the one that talks about a Hebrew Messiah who sends out a Hebrew people who are scattered all over the earth as slaves and come awakening out of that and recognize who they are and remember where they come from and are now receiving perfect righteousness from the Father to bring forth a message of perfect righteousness. It's about a people who are used to being underneath and now will be going above. It's about a people who were oppressed and exploited but are going to overcome it because of the Heavenly Father through Messiah. That's the gospel. Overcoming all sin in this life through the Spirit of the Father. Isaiah chapter 19. Let's begin at verse 1. Isaiah chapter 19 at verse 1. The burden of Egypt, or Mizraim. Behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Now, brothers and sisters, oftentimes when we look at Bible prophecy, we're looking at a particular, or looking for a particular event. For example, Messiah's return. Messiah is going to return to the earth like he actually appeared on the earth the first time as a man. That's a particular event. And so that prophetic event was looked for in the scriptures by the people that were as the redemption of the people that are looking for that from the reading of the scriptures. That's a particular event. But sometimes the Bible describes in a prophetic sense what's going to happen to a group of people over time. For example, again, Hebrew Israelites, which are the Negro and the Indian, went into slavery. It didn't just happen in 1 year. It happened over time. They became the tail and not the head. It didn't just happen in 1 year. It's happening now. It's happening for hundreds and even thousands of years. It's not something that just happened. People try to pinpoint a date. They say 1620 or 1619. I think some people are looking for 1619 and claiming 400 years, and last year was supposed to be something special. No. But that's the point I'm making. You can't just pinpoint it to one time. See, brothers and sisters, some prophecies unfold the way the seasons of the year unfold. Like they might have a first day of spring and summer and fall and winter. There might be an official first day for each of them, and there are. But you can see the change of the seasons aside from the date. It's something that happens gradually. You can see it happening as it's happening. You understand what I'm saying? So winter is turning into spring. It's a gradual process. You can see buds. You can see birds coming back that were gone. You can see the weather warming up. It's a gradual process. And then from that, you can see the leaves get full grown as the weather gets much warmer. And now you're talking about summer. Then the leaves starts to die and it starts to get a little cooler. Now you're talking about autumn. And then the leaves are all dead. They're off the trees and it's cold. That's winter. And you can see that change coming. That's how some prophecies happen. Okay? This is one of those. So we're talking about the Most High appearing to Egypt upon a swift cloud. Idols of Egypt moved at his presence and the hearts of the people melted. Let's take a look. Let's go further into it. Isaiah chapter 19 from verse 2. Let's go from verse 2 down to verse 8. From verse 2 to 8. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother and every one against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith Yahweh, the Yahweh of hosts. And the water shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of the fence shall be emptied and dried up. The reeds and flags shall wither. The paper reeds by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. The fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the waters shall languish. So we're talking negative things about Egypt. Cruel master. Well, there's been more than one cruel master that has ruled over Egypt. There's been more than one. For example, we talked about the Assyrians in chapter 20, taking them slaves naked. That was a cruel master, the Assyrians. After that, the Babylonians came. Nebuchadnezzar came. Remember, the Israelites tried to run to Egypt, and Jeremiah said, that ain't going to help you, and they did it anyway. Nebuchadnezzar came and took them from there, killed a lot of them. Nebuchadnezzar at that point was the cruel master. After that, of course, came the Roman Catholic Church much later, but they first attacked Egypt through the protege that they created called Islam. Islam was created by Rome through Muhammad. And he became the cruel master. He came across there with the point of a sword. And if you wasn't converted, you were going to be killed. And now, the entire Babylonian system that we now operate in, the system of debt and central banks, the system of democracy, which is hypocrisy in the words of Malcolm X, and I agree. The system that is now operating in the earth, the corporate system, is the cruel master, which behind the scenes, the Bible tells us, is controlled by Rome, but it's being pushed forth by its enforcer, the United States of America, okay, in the West, of course. So there's had several cruel masters. And right now in Egypt, Egypt is an example. The people had a certain appearance thousands of years ago. The appearance has changed somewhat. In the northern part of Egypt, because of the infiltration of Greeks with Alexander the Great, Romans, right? And then, of course, later on where we at right now, just Europeans in general, Greeks, Romans, Europeans in general. We have a different look of German and Greek and English. Of course, there was the French as well with Napoleon, and then let me not forget them. So you've changed, but then in the southern part of Egypt, even right now, you have people that look like the original people, and they are oppressed. They are oppressed by the lighter people. Always the way that is. That's where you get the white supremacy being developed. The darker ones are suppressed by the lighter ones. And then, of course, there's still the influx even today of Islam and its oppressive trying to convert people by force in Somalia, in Sudan, in Eritrea, and even in Ethiopia. Okay, between Ethiopia, they suffer from the oppression of the Catholics coming in there, which changed them from Sabbath keepers to Sunday keepers and Christians. Okay, all of that. Okay, cruel lords, all. And that happened to Egypt. Now, brothers and sisters, as we talked about earlier, many times, Most High reaches individuals, we have to go through some pain for him to get our attention. That's what Job taught us, that sometimes he puts us in spiritual, physical, emotional type of pain in order to reach us, to get our attention. Well, he did that here with Egypt. You can see all of these things happening. He's trying to get the attention of the Egyptians. This is prophetic. Brothers and sisters, let's continue reading. Isaiah chapter 19. Let's go from verse 9 and go down to verse 12. Isaiah chapter 19 from verse 9 to 12. Moreover, they that work in fine flax and they that weave networks shall be confounded. They shall be broken in the purposes thereof. All that make sluices and ponds for fish. Surely the princes of Zoan, that's Zoan is a part of Egypt, are fools. In the counsel of the wise counsel of Pharaoh is become brutish. How say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, son of ancient kings? Where are they? Where are thy wise men? Let them tell thee now, and let them know what Yahweh of hosts have purposed upon Egypt. So the Most High has a purpose for Egypt. First, apparently some suffering. We're going to see in a minute how it ends up, but it's some suffering. It's some spanking. Well, brothers and sisters, as Israelites, we know all about that, don't we? We know all about spanking. We know all about suffering. Been doing that a long time. Us, our fathers, our great-grandfathers, going all the way back hundreds and thousands of years. We know all about that suffering. I believe that spirit comes up through the ages. It comes up through the ages. That's why over through the ages, you get people that are risen up in time. A Marcus Garvey, a Nat Turner, right? A Kwame Ture, right? You get people that are risen up in time. A Malcolm X, a Fred Hampton. And they're representing the struggle of many from years before. They're coming forward. The difference, though, is, of course, as each one rises up, they rise up with more light than the last one. That's why we are in an awakening right now. 144,000 are now upon the earth, and they're now being awakened, and they're now being sealed by the Father's Spirit, being prepared to teach and to bring a message of salvation to the chosen people, and then through the chosen people to the earth. It's happening right now. It's not about a denomination, a 501c3 corporation. It's not about that. It's not about any structured religion. It's not about that. It's about a scattered people that is a nation that is being awakened. He has a purpose for Egypt, for Mizraim, the son of Ham, and for his children. Let's take a look at it. Isaiah chapter 19 from verse 13 and verse 14. Actually, verse 13 down to verse 15. From 13 to 15. The princes of Zoan are become fools. The princes of Noph are deceived. They have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribes thereof. Yahweh hath mingled the perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or the tail, branch or rush may do. No, brothers and sisters, he's taken away all their ancient artifacts, all their ancient things. And look, isn't that what's happening? You got people going into Egypt right now. They're taking stuff out. They're taking it and bringing it into European museums. Isn't that what's going on? They bring their ancient artifacts. They take it away from them, bringing it in. And the stuff they can't take, like the statues and stuff, what they do, they blow it away with cannonballs or take the noses off so that you can't tell who it is. So they loot in the place of anything that's value. And then, of course, they steal all the ideas. You know, European didn't have these ideas of sanitation and stuff before they started invading Egypt, and poetry and writing and mathematics. They got all that from ancient Egyptians and ancient Babylonians. Praise the Most High. Let's continue. From verse 16 and verse 17. Isaiah chapter 19, verse 16 and 17. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of Yahweh of hosts, which he shaketh over. And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself because of the counsel of Yahweh of hosts, which he hath determined against it. Let's stop here for a second. Now, when he says the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt, what does that mean? Brothers and sisters, Isaiah or Yeshaya is a prophet of Judah. He's a prophet of the kingdom of southern kingdom of Judah. The Most High is speaking these words against Egypt through him. Just like if you recall the story of Jeremiah, when you read Jeremiah's story in the prophecies of Jeremiah, Nebuchadnezzar had great respect for Jeremiah. Why? Because Jeremiah prophesied that Nebuchadnezzar was going to come and destroy Jerusalem and that he was going to take captive. He also prophesied about the destruction of Babylon. And Nebuchadnezzar had respect. He was afraid of Jeremiah because of the words that the Most High gave Jeremiah. See, again, we talked about this last night. When the Creator puts his words in a man's mouth, people notice that that's not just from a man, just like Messiah himself. When Messiah spoke, people noticed because this wasn't just no ordinary man. And you remember, we talked about last night how the scribes and Pharisees go and sent officers to arrest Messiah when he was in Judea. And they came back without him. And the leader said, how come you haven't brought him? And all they can say is never a man spake like this man. Because the Father's Spirit causes that to happen. See, brothers and sisters, this is why no preacher or teacher should ever take credit for anything they preach and teach that's a blessing to anyone, because it's not us. It's the Father's Spirit. He could raise up people before they even born in the womb. He named Jeremiah before he was even conceived. He said, before you was conceived, I called you and named you a prophet. You see? So Judah shall be a terror to Egypt. What's that mean? That means they're going to have respect to the words of the Israelite prophets because they can see this was prophesied against them. They're going to have respect to the words then and now. You say now, yes, now. As we are now awakening, the Most High is bringing forth his messengers. As he promised in his prophets, he would bring forth in the last days his messengers with his spirit. And they're going to be people of the land of Ham and Cush that are going to recognize that voice. Remember what Messiah said? He is the good shepherd, Messiah said of himself. And he said his sheep hear his voice. They don't hear the voice of strangers. And again, that's what we're talking about when we talk about conviction. The people that are Yah's chosen people will follow conviction. They don't try to be willfully ignorant like a lot of Caucasians do, or try to hide behind fakeness like they don't really know or don't want to know because they're afraid of looking like a lot of Christians do. No, they want the truth. Why? Because when you're following the truth, you're honestly giving honor to your Creator. You're not faking the funk then. You're giving honor to your Creator when you follow that which is true. That which is true is according to His word, according to the spirit of conviction that His spirit from the throne places on an individual through the Messiah. When you're following that conviction and you're going toward it and you want more, even though sometimes, brothers and sisters, let's be real, truth hurts. Yeah. Say you want to follow truth, be careful what you ask for. He's going to lead you through some narrow roads where everybody's going to think you crazy. Remember we talked about this earlier. People are going to think you crazy. You're going to have to stand by yourself on the truth. You're not going to have a bunch of people with you. Again, that's a sign of a Judas. A Judas needs people with him to make a stand. An Israelite, that's the truth, just needs to be convicted. And they'll take the stand. John the Baptist took the stand. John the Baptist took the stand and called out King Herod to the detriment of his own life. He was beheaded because of that. But he took the stand. Didn't count what it was going to do for him or against him. Judas counted the cost very carefully and decided it was beneficial to him to betray Messiah. Okay? It was beneficial. Brothers and sisters, Egypt or the Hamite is going to hear the truth from the mouth of the Israelite. It's already started. It's already started. You got people from Africa right now. These are Hamitic people that are starting to hear this truth. Starting to hear this truth. The Lemba tribe giving this truth. The Igbos in Nigeria giving this truth. Ethiopians from Solomon's line giving this truth. It's already started. And many others. It's already started, brothers and sisters. And of course, I myself am a witness of the awakening happening in the United States. Not just me, there are many others. All over the earth, not just here, in the UK, Canada, different parts of the earth. People are awakening. It's not the majority, never going to be the majority. But let me tell you something. Yah, the Most High Yah, and His Spirit with one man is the majority. Is the majority. That's all He needs. He Himself is the majority. Okay? Isaiah chapter 19. So, the land of Judah shall be a terror unto them. They're going to be hearing the word from the Israelites, and it's already started. Chapter 19 from verse 18. From verse 18 down to verse 20. Isaiah chapter 19 from verse 18 down to verse 20 knows what it says. In that day shall 5 cities in the land of Mizraim speak the language of Canaan. The language of Canaan, that's the Hebrews. And swear to Yahweh of hosts, one shall be called the city of destruction. In that day shall there be an altar to Yahweh in the midst of the land of Mizraim, and a pillar at the border thereof to Yahweh. And it shall be there, and it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto Yahweh of hosts in the land of Egypt. For they shall cry unto Yahweh because of the oppressors, and He shall send them a Savior and a great one. He shall deliver them. Isn't that the way it happened? Remember, Most High came down and told Moses, I've heard the cry of my people among the sons of Mizraim, and I've come down to deliver them. And He sent Moses. This time, brothers and sisters, He's going to hear the cry. Because, brothers and sisters, democracy is oppressing people all over the earth. Not just democracy. Communism in China, oppressing people all over the earth. You got a handful of people that Asatan gives power to that have made the deal with him. And they're oppressing great masses of people with these philosophies and these systems. There are Christian people suffering. You got people that are Christians, right? Whose pastors living very well, nice house, nice car, living a lifestyle of the rich. And you got people that's supporting us living off of Social Security. Am I lying or what? They're sending them tithe money off their Social Security check. Now, what kind of sense does that make? You got 550,000 people homeless in the United States, and you got people that have multiple mansions. Do you realize that in the United States, there's over 1 million abandoned homes? Over 1 million abandoned homes. And you got 550,000 homeless people. That doesn't even make sense. But that's Babylon. That's the spirit of Babylon where we live, brothers and sisters. So the oppressed are getting more oppressed. You can hear the cries getting more and more. When you see, brothers and sisters, when it was just Hebrew Israelites and black so-called African Americans suffering in their neighborhoods with crack cocaine and heroin, when it was just us suffering like that, yeah, no big deal. We just have to get tough on crime in the inner cities. That's what they used to say. We got to get tough on crime in the inner cities, right? And they just marketed us. They made market out of us. They passed the crime law in 1995 and send us prison for marijuana for life, 3-strike law. Messed up our neighborhoods, crowded us together, cut off our services, cut off the education, tried to destroy us and profit while they were doing it. But now their own sons and daughters committing suicide and getting oppressed and getting on opioids and tripping out. Now they're trying to do something about it. Tidal wave has already started. Brothers and sisters, it cannot be stopped. It cannot be stopped. It's already started. We are getting ready to get a recession like we haven't seen before. The last recession we got was 2008. We're a bit overdue. They generally come between 8 to 12 years. Right now, we're in the 12th year. We're getting ready to see it. It's going to be bad. This whole system of oppressive system is built on debt. It's built on debt. School debt. Corporate debt. Credit card debt. Why? Because none of us can really, most of the majority, the so-called middle class and below can't afford the basic necessities. Therefore, you have to borrow for your basic necessities. You need a refrigerator? You think you're going to go in there and buy it for cash? There might be some people that could do that, obviously, but $4,000 for a refrigerator, you got to buy that on time. You need a car to get to work? Okay. Unless somebody going to buy it for you, generally going to buy that car, you're going to be paying 5 to 7 years to pay off that car. You don't even own it. The bank owns it. Oh, you want a house? Then you got to get a mortgage. You get a mortgage, you paying some people you don't even know for 30 years. And you paying 3 times what the price of that house is. This is a cruel oppression. Brothers and sisters, and people are starting to cry to the Most High, some that know him. That's why we're being raised up. A deliverer. Well, let me ask you, brothers and sisters, can you please tell me? Whenever the Bible talks about a deliverer, who are they talking about? Come on now. Who are we talking about? Who's the deliverer that's coming? That's right. Yahushua, the Messiah. That's exactly right. The Hebrew Messiah. I know white Jesus, soft and flowery, loving everybody. No. Messiah coming with his sword drawn on a white horse, with an army behind him on white horse. In righteousness, he does judge and make war. That's how he comes. To destroy this system, the Bible says, like an iron against potter's vessels. That's what he's coming. And we're going to rejoice when we see the whole thing be destroyed, as it should be. It's oppressive. And people that are benefiting off oppression and thievery. And it's going to come to an end. Yes, it is. Praise the Most High. That's the great one that's going to come and deliver Mizraim's children, the ones that are repentant, and Cush's children, the ones that are repentant, and Assyrian's children, the ones that are repentant. And we talked about this. Ashur is a Semite, but Ashur's land was what's now considered northern Iraq, southern Turkey, northern Syria. Syria is when you get the word Assyrian. Okay? And so you got people that are Yah's people in those areas. He's going to call them forth. He's doing it right now. Most of them now are in Islam, and they suffering. They suffer. Many of them suffering all over the earth, brothers and sisters. This is the problem with the way the devil, Asatan, runs this world. For every person that's well off and making it, there's a person on the opposite end of the spectrum. You can't just have everybody make it. It's not the way this world operates. You got people that are oppressed and people that are the oppressors. You got people that are making money, people that starve. You got people living in a nice, warm, comfortable place, and people sleeping on the street. This is the way this world operates. But that's not going to be the kingdom of Yah. Everybody's going to be on a level field in the kingdom of Yah. Everybody's going to be provided for. There'll be no debt. See, we talked about tithe. Tithe, to pay tithe, all y'all being suckered into, and I say it straight, suckered into these churches into giving tithe, or these 501c3, even if they claim to be Israelite, you're a sucker. You know why you're being a sucker? Only ones that pay tithe are people that have no debt. People that don't owe anybody anything. Jacob said, you bring me back to my father, I'll give you the 10. That means I got what I need and I don't owe anybody. When the Israelites came into the land, they didn't owe anybody for that land. It was theirs free and clear. All the crops was theirs free and clear. So when they returned a tithe to the poor, it was a tithe based on free and clear money. Now you don't own nothing. You don't own the electricity in your house. You don't own the heat. You owe for that. If you buying a house, you owe the bank. You owe. And if you owe, the Bible says the borrower is servant to the lender. You are a servant. You are a servant. You work for somebody else? All of us, most of us do. I ain't down in it, but we all slaves in this system. And even if you self-employed, just one step from a slave. Okay, period. And all this whole thing is built on pieces of paper that people value. And that when it all comes off, gonna be worth nothing. So brothers and sisters, we're putting our trust in the word of the Most High, putting our trust in his spirit and his truth, because that's our only hope. Not in churches, not in money. Let's continue. Let's finish the chapter. Isaiah chapter 19 from verse 21 to 25. Notice what it says. And Yahweh shall be known to Mizraim. And I'm using the word Mizraim because that more accurately describes the children of Ham, which the Egypt is. And Yahweh shall be known to Mizraim, and the Mizraim shall know Yahweh in that day, and shall do sacrifice and oblation. Yea, they shall call a vow unto they shall vow a vow unto Yahweh and perform it. And Yahweh shall smite Mizraim, he shall smite and heal it. And they shall return even to Yahweh, and he shall be entreated of them and shall heal them. In that day shall there be a highway out of Mizraim to Assyria. And the Assyrians shall come into Mizraim, and the Mizraim into Assyria. And the Mizraim shall serve with the Assyrians. In that day shall Israel be the third with Mizraim and Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land. So we are being brought forth to be a blessing. That's what he intended. He only showed himself to us. He intended for us to show him to the earth. We failed. Our fathers failed in that. But in the end, we're going to do what we're supposed to do, what we have been ordained to do. We're receiving of his spirit right now, and receiving of his truth. No, you're not going to see this on CNN. This revolution is not going to be televised, as my boy Skillstar Heron said. You're not going to see this on MSNBC or CBS or ABC. You're not going to see this on cable news. It's going to happen in the spirit on the street level, and the people are going to be rising up and see it. The people that are called on the Most High. Praise his name. Whom how of hosts shall bless, saying, blessed be Mizraim, my people, and Assyria, the work of my hand, and Israel, mine inheritance. Praise the Most High. Israel is always going to be his inheritance. Always. Yes, we went through slavery. We're going through oppression. We're being oppressed. We're being exploited even unto this minute. We're being exploited by the powers that be. All of us are being exploited by debt, by corporations, nameless, faceless entities that don't care nothing about you, but want to exploit you and profit off of you. It's all good though. Because they're all going to meet they're going to get what they got coming, brothers and sisters. That's what this word is promising. And the Most High, the Creator, is going to be in his proper place. And Messiah going to be in his proper place. Rulers of this planet. And Israel is going to be his inheritance in their proper place. Praise the Most High. Yeah. Let's have a word of prayer. Hopefully this thing works. Let me see here. Let me get this thing. All right, so it says, all right, so I just click